Hello, I'm Kesenya, and I'm here to tell you today the story of the Scorpio Moon as seen through the lens of Shamanic astrology. And I want to do that by illustrating the Scorpio Moon characteristics through a story about my Nana, the beautiful woman that you can see in the photograph behind me. So I'm going to begin with the story. If you heard my interview with Lada in recent times, you would have heard me telling the tale of my experience through a past life regression in which I was a young Indian woman, Indian girl who grew into an Indian woman, and it was quite a traumatic experience in that American Indian culture in very volatile times as white people came and took over the country. In that particular past life regression, which it's probably important for me to add, this regression was confirmed to me by an energy healing session. So not only did I experience it in a past life regression session, but I also had an energy healing session a couple of years later in which the energy healer said, "Oh my goodness, I've seen this within you as part of your past life experience." And I'm like, yep, that's exactly what I experienced in my regression. So it was confirmed from myself as a source and an external source as well. So when I talk about this, it's been a very real part of my personal soul journey. But this is not about my past life regression again. This is actually about the role my grandmother, my Nana, played in that past life regression. Now, when I was regressed and I was watching my life as a young American Indian girl unfold, I saw myself being raised by a grandmother type figure. And although she didn't look anything like in the physical body the Nana that I know from this lifetime, it was definitely my this life Nana who was also my Nana or grandmother or clan mother in the Indian culture that I was growing up in that past life. That was really quite a profound revelation to note that I didn't have to physically recognize somebody in order to be able to energetically recognize them and know how they fit in my my life experience, my soul experience. And so I had this past life experience with my grandmother, Nana, from this lifetime. Together, she had been raising me until such time as I was taken away from my Indian clan or my Indian tribe. So I had this traumatic experience, and then at the end of the regression session, my guide, who was a woman I trust implicitly, and if you're thinking about having a regression, can I just encourage you to really seek out someone that you connect with very energetically. Well, we're talking about energy. It's very important that you feel safe with the person that you're doing a regression with, because it's quite a otherworldly process, and you want to know that you're in a safe, secure environment in order to go through those things. So my guide took me into what is commonly called the bardo state, and in that state you can ask in anybody who was with you in that lifetime and ask them questions, trying to get some clarity, to seek some resolution. And I called in my Nana from that life, and she came in, and as she came in to the bardo state where I was, she began to run her hands over me and to chant some Indian chant that I didn't recognize, but it was very much a shamanic ritual practice of trying to heal and trying to purge. I could sense that much at least, and it felt really beautiful. And that was a very profound experience. I'm like, okay, so my Nana in that lifetime, she loved me very much. She was quite a shamanic woman, and she practiced these rituals that many tribal cultures still in this day and age practice of ritual healing, chanting, etc. That was really interesting to me. And then as my life moved on, this was about 5 years ago, I was studying astrology, and I began to look into her chart. And even though she's no longer presently physically with me in this lifetime, I was encouraged to look at her chart, and I could see so much correlation between what I'd experienced with her in this lifetime, but also in the past life regression I'd experienced visible in her chart. That was a really exciting thing to discover. And just a bit of astrological information here. Interestingly enough, I did not know my nana's time of birth. And if you're looking at your ancestors and you don't know their time of birth, keep in mind that the moon can change signs within the space of a day, and you won't be able to figure out the house positions. So that being the case, I looked at my nana's chart. I knew I couldn't figure out her house positions, and I knew to be aware that the moon changes signs in some instances within the course of a day. It turned out that Scorpio, my nana had a Scorpio moon, and that the moon was in Scorpio for the full day of her birth date. So she unequivocally had a Scorpio moon. And when I saw that, I was like, that makes sense. I get that, especially in relation to the past life Bardo state experience that I had. Why is that, you might ask? I'll move into that in just a minute. But yeah, I want to talk about Scorpio. And as I talk about Scorpio, the sign, and Scorpio moon, you'll understand why seeing my nana do that shamanic chant correlated with all that I understood and now know about the sign of Scorpio. It was very prominent for her, and it obviously had this karmic life manifestation in this life. The moon is very karmic. Keep that in mind whenever you're looking at the moon in a chart. So let's have a look at what Scorpio moon actually represent. So most schools of astrology, or many I should say, schools of astrology believe that the moon is debilitated when it's in Scorpio. And in fact, that's the only sign that the moon is debilitated in. I don't align with that way of thinking because I see both the sun and the moon as luminaries of the sky rather than planets or stars, if you like. Sometimes the planets do look like stars in our night sky, but the moon and the sun are luminaries. They illuminate, so they function in a different way to the planets in that sense. So I don't find my perception and the readings that not the readings, but the reading I have done in my learning indicate to me that the moon is actually not in debilitation in Scorpio. However, it is repressed. Its energy is greatly repressed, which is perhaps where that sense of debilitation has come from. Now, I'll explain more about this repressed energy of the moon. And the moon is the emotions. Keep in mind, it's our emotional needs and our emotional experience. Some people say 4,000 years ago, some people will say 10,000 years ago, but a long time ago, let's just say, the matriarchy had a great power on the earth, and there was a connection with Mother Earth, and the rituals connecting to the earth, and the practices of magical matriarchal societies that's often still present in tribal cultures today. You'll look around and there's initiation for women as well as men in some tribal cultures, and there's an honoring of women's journey, women's physical experience. The first periods are honored, and the growing into womanhood is celebrated, but not in our Western culture. And why is that? Quite simply, it's because around between 4,000 to 10-ish thousand years ago, a long time ago, we had the rise of patriarchy, and in rising up, patriarchy chose to elevate itself, which was fine, but squash down the matriarchal power. So anything mysterious, anything magical, anything watery, and when we talk about watery signs, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, all those watery energies are highly intuitive, very connected to other worlds, very sensitive and emotional, and pick up on things energetically rather than logically through the mind. So those water signs are considered feminine energy, and your fire signs, your action signs of fire signs, and your intellectual, mind-driven signs, they're considered much more masculine in the style of energy that they are. Earth and water, feminine; fire and air, masculine. So with the rise of patriarchy, there was a leveling down and repression of the feminine energies, the intuition, the psychic understandings, the connection to other realms. And this particularly affected Scorpio, because Scorpio is so emotional. So we no longer actually honor the cycles of women in Western society. There's been many hundreds of years where women were kept as objects, as something to own, rather than as liberated beings within themselves. The 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 emphasis was on retaining maidenhood for as long as possible, and discounting middle age for women, discounting old age, because that was something that women rose into their power in their middle age and in their old age. They became, as we age, we become more self-confident and more powerful in ourselves. So patriarchy brought about all these sorts of things, with repression of women's mysteries, the dishonoring of our life cycles and our growth, and the desire to keep women as young maidens, youthful, beautiful forever, because they're possessions and objects to be owned. All those sorts of attitudes that came out through hundreds of years of patriarchal lordship, if you like, over the way things are done. So with the discrediting of middle age and the encouraging of the maidenhood forever kind of theory, also came the repression of these gifts, these practicing of what we call magic or rituals or ceremonies, and healing through herbs and connection to the earth. Remember, the earth signs are also feminine. So all those things were repressed. Priesthood was raised up, and priestesses or sorceresses and male energy in that regard as well, the sorcerers and what have you, were burned at the stake, were really traumatized and repressed, and so much of that energy had to go underground, and keep hidden, stay out of sight, for fear of their very existence. I should just also add here, when I'm talking about male-female energies, I'm not talking about genitals. I'm talking about how the different energies in the universe come through us. So, you may have been a sorcerer in a past life, a male version, and suffered traumatic experiences through repression. I'm not saying that you had to have been a female physical body, but you would have carried, male or female, regardless of your genitalia, you would have carried the energy of those watery, earthy, feminine signs and the abilities of those signs, particularly Scorpio, which was a very powerful sign, very magical, very mysterious, great understanding of hidden mysteries, and very emotionally in tune. And when the repression came, the sign that suffered most was Scorpio. Partially Virgo as well, but that's a talk for another day. But Scorpio really suffered when the feminine energies were repressed from the rise of patriarchy. So for hundreds, perhaps thousands of years, we've had this repressed energy, which has given Scorpio that feeling of debilitation, where their emotions haven't been honored, their abilities haven't been honored. They've had to keep their powers, if you like, hidden to survive. My belief is that every energy of the zodiac has an important role to play. In fact, we carry those energetic signatures, all 12 of them, within us. And for some, it's stronger. Some energies are stronger than another. Particularly if you've got Scorpio Moon, you have this double whammy emotional capacity and emotional feeling energy. The Moon is about emotions. Scorpio is this intense emotional sign. And with that comes certain capabilities, and these are the capabilities that have been repressed. With Scorpio, you've got you're on the axis with Taurus. So let's look at that axis. Sometimes that's referred to as a relationship axis if it's on the ascendant and descendant. But in this case, we're looking at the moon's axis from in Scorpio with the sign, polaric opposite sign of Taurus. Taurus is all about the physical realm, the sensuality, the touch, taste, sound, smell, sight, everything that you can experience in the physical world. Opposite to that is Scorpio, which is the depth you can experience in the emotional world, if you like, the senses of the emotional realm. And that's something that Scorpio is usually really tuned in with. So with this polaric opposite, this is in a relationship sense, this is why Scorpio and Taurus people like to experience touch and the sensuality of the physical experience, because Scorpio gets their emotional energy out of those physical realm experiences. Likewise, for strong Taurus people, that same thing occurs. You know, they like that sensuality and the touch and the sexuality because they get fulfilled by that. Particularly for Scorpio, this is why they are such sexual people. Good thing, you Scorpio people. It's really lovely, and that's where they get a lot of their charge and their energy from. So it's really important for Scorpio to experience their emotional levels. And now as we move into the turning of the ages, we're starting to embrace more ways of doing life, more ways of being, more ways of expressing our humanness. And gone are the days when this was how you did it, the road was narrow and limited, and you better fit in. It's much more, wow, this is beautiful. Look at how they're expressing their energy. Look at how creative that is. Look at this particular version of life energy. There's one version there, somebody on a motorbike driving past. But that's what we're experiencing now at the turning of the ages, where we're seeing Scorpio come into its own. It's starting to be empowered and recognized again. And this is really beautiful and special. No longer is Scorpio going to remain repressed. They're going to grow and manifest into a beautiful new way of being. I'm really excited for Scorpio as consciousness shifts, because I think there's going to be great empowerment and liberation and no more debilitation or repression, which is wonderful. We know that the moon represents our karmic past lives. And when the moon is in Scorpio, it's saying in a past life, you will have experienced some kind of Scorpio things, and quite strongly. So there's this emotional past life connection to scorpionic things. Therefore, it is likely that, seeing as we've had thousands of years of repression of your emotional energy and your magical, ritual, shamanic capacities, it's likely that you will have experienced some kind of trauma in that regard in a past life. And that is what you're here now to heal from. It's part of what your life journey this time around is all about. Going deep and healing those emotional traumas that may have come around through being burned at the stake, or repressed, or laughed at, or mocked, or ridiculed, or condemned, or a million different ways it could manifest, but quite negatively about your great emotional sensitivity, or your understanding of esoteric things, or your ability to heal others in a quite alternative manner. No longer are you going to experience that repression in this lifetime, or you have the choice to not experience that repression in this lifetime. Now is your chance to rise up And how can you do that? How can you heal that past life trauma in this lifetime? Well, one way that I've experienced myself, I'm not Scorpio at all, but I do have a lot of water energy, so you may find this aligns with you. But one way I've experienced is to have past life regression. Again, choose somebody you trust, or to have some kind of energy healing. That has been really powerful for me as a Piscean. And you may find that that's resolves a lot of things, or gives you some understanding or clarity. So if that's a path you wanted to take to explore why you felt certain emotions or certain keeping things down and repressed, then by all means go down that road. Other ways are allowing your other ways to heal, I should say, are about allowing your emotions to surface and be present. There is nothing bad within you as such. I don't believe in good or bad. I just see everything as a different energetic type, and I refer often to the yin yang, where energy, it's just different energy. And it must be your energies need to be handled in a highly conscious, highly manifested way. There are low manifestations. We're looking at Hitler and, North Korean leaders and what have you. Perhaps I shouldn't say that. But where there are low manifestations of various energies, we're not talking about that. If you're watching this video, it's highly likely that you want to manifest at a higher level, at a kind level, a generous level, or, that big expanded level. So we're talking about that here. And in doing that, we need to bring forward our emotions and allow them to be there. If you're frustrated, allow it to come out. If you're joyful, by all means, allow it to come out. Be yourself. Stand firm in what you believe. Go forward and share your light with the world, because every light, every energy has a right to be here, be seen, to show up and be heard. So that's another way to heal, by allowing yourself, accepting yourself, saying it's okay to feel this way. If you're going through traumatic times with your kids and you're just so overwhelmed, tell yourself it's okay to feel this way. If you're feeling like you can't do this job anymore and it's giving you the shits, tell yourself it's okay, and express it. Don't need to quit your job, but allow your emotions to come out. Don't repress how you're feeling. The other interesting point is if you find that you have great psychic intuition or an ability to understand rituals and how rituals can help us, or the properties of herbs is a fascinating topic for you that you want to explore more of in terms of using them to heal and to cleanse and go down that road. We live in liberated times when you can grab a book off the internet and read up on all those sorts of things and start practicing. Because if you've got Scorpio Moon, you're carrying with you the essence of past lives in which you had those abilities. And you can certainly manifest them again in this lifetime if you choose to. That's another way to heal from those past life traumas, by allowing it into this life experience. In fact, that's probably the best way, by allowing it into this life experience. Go and be a medium. Go and be a psychic. Go and be a medicinal healer or a naturopath. If that's where you feel like your Scorpio Moon is leading you, embrace it. It will empower you. And one of the final elements that relates to Scorpio and the ability to heal from past life trauma is the fact that Scorpio is considered something of what we call an edge walker. So Scorpio likes extreme experiences, and the reason they like that, and this is why they'll have in many cases, many sexual experiences and other sort of highly emotionally charged experiences. The reason is because they're trying to get back in touch with that energetic life force, that feeling of aliveness, that feeling of, yes, I'm in this, I belong in this, this is my place, and I'm empowered here. They're trying to get back in touch with that, so they will seek out crisis experiences that allow them to feel alive. And sometimes Scorpio can use this energy unwisely by seeking crisis experiences that are just not helpful. But in order to heal, we want to find crisis experiences that are actually empowering, liberating, and uplifting for us. So, you might find extreme sports give you that adrenaline and that emotional woo experience that you need to feel that scorpionic aliveness. You may find, if you can find a partner who's really keen on exploring different sexual manifestations, different sexual energies, positions and experiences, wow, go for that, because that will allow you to feel alive as well. So any type of experience that's wholesome and good, that where you can empower yourself to have sort of edgy experiences or crisis, if you like, experiences that give you that energy rush that you need to feel alive, go for those and stay away from any edgy and scorpionic energetic experiences that are really going to be psychically dark for you and lead you down a really traumatic path, and through the shadows, so to speak. I mean, Scorpio likes to go into transformational type experiences, but there are ways to do that that will not harm you and those around you. So if you want to write to me, we can share about some ideas and how to do that, but I won't go into great detail about all those possibilities just now. So basically, it's about experiencing something, any type of experience that takes you to the edge of your comfort zone and beyond. It'll help you in dying to the perception that you have of yourself and of the world around you for the purpose of feeling greater aliveness. So they are the ways to work towards healing the Scorpio Moon past life traumas. Try a past life regression or energy healing session. Allow your emotions to surface and be experienced. Allow yourself to feel desire and to go with your desires. They're not bad. Allow yourself to feel, experience energetic moments, like edgy energetic moments of great aliveness, because those three things, regressions and energy healing, allowing your emotions, accepting your emotions, bringing them to the surface, edgy experiences, and also, the fourth thing, studying the things that you're compelled to study and pursuing those things, the magical, the sorcery, the medicine woman type energies. Go with those things. They will all help heal you from past life trauma. Lastly, it's really important for Scorpionic people to experience joy. So seek joy wherever you can, whatever gives you that buzz of happiness. And often with watery signs, that's through creativity. So invest in creative time. Put aside time every week to do something creative that you love, whether that's gardening or whether it's painting or whether it's dancing or whatever that energy is for you. Seek joyful times, because your soul needs those times to heal and find peace. So my Nana, just to round things off, my Nana had this energy. She had a Scorpio moon and she was a medicine woman, a clan mother in our Indian tribe in my past life. In this lifetime, my Nana was in a very Western society that kept things quite repressed in that regard. It was a very conservative society, very unaccepting of anything like that. However, my Nana did love to explore the writings of Nostradamus and people like that. She was quite intrigued by that sort of thing. And she had a couple of edgy experiences in her life that were traumatic and transformational. She, as many people of her generation did, she went through the Second World War. She lost family, she lost lovers, and those things really transformed the direction of her life. She was very much in touch with nature and gardening and growing things. And all these elements I see sort of were the scorpionic things coming out in her. Her ability, she had just a knack with plants. She could grow something in a gumboot. She was just quite clever with nature and herbs and that sort of thing. And she had this interest in hidden mysteries, and she had many crisis experiences that transformed her. So Scorpio was playing out for her in this lifetime. But for me, the strongest embodiment of that Scorpio moon is knowing who she was in a past lifetime. May you know who you are in this lifetime. May you understand where you've come from in past lives and as you grow through this life, in order to know where you're headed as you mature and go through this lifetime. Thank you for allowing me to walk the stars with you today.